Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good afternoon. My name is Dr. William Stewart, and I'm an Associate Director of International Cooperation in the Office of International Affairs here at Korea University. It is my great honor and privilege to welcome you all to this special event on fostering collaboration in higher education in Korea. Before we begin, I'd like you to take a moment to put your phones on silent mode. Thank you. We are graced today by the presence of several esteemed state officials from the Republic of Botswana. Please allow me to introduce them. First and foremost, His Excellency, President Mokgweetsi Masisi, the President of Botswana. Next is the Honorable Dr. Lemugang Kwape, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And then, His Excellency, Major General Kotsulini Morake, the Ambassador. Next is His Excellency, Mr. Clifford Maribe, Acting Permanent Secretary from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And last but not least is Her Excellency, Ms. Beauty Manaike, the Assistant Minister of Trade and Industry. Joining us today and representing Korea University is Professor Dongwon Kim, President. Professor Wonggyu Lee, the Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs. Professor Chuck Yu, the Executive Vice President for Research. And last but not least, Professor Jin Won-sung, Dean of the Graduate School. And to the many other staff, faculty, students, members of the press, and members of the delegation, thank you for joining us today. Now, to commence our event, it is my distinct honor to invite the President of Korea University, Professor Dongwon Kim, to deliver a welcoming speech. Please join me in welcoming President Kim to the stage.
Honorable President of Botswana, distinguished guests, esteemed faculty and students, I'm Dongwon Kim, President of Korea University, and it is a great pleasure and profound honor to extend a warm welcome to you, President Mokgweetsi Masisi. Your visit today marks a significant milestone in the growing relationship between Botswana and our institution. Korea University has always prided itself on fostering global connections, promoting cultural exchange, and advancing academic excellence. Your presence here underscores the shared values and aspirations that unite our countries in pursuit of knowledge, innovation, and mutual understanding. This can be seen in the key roles and positions that you have held in government, ranging from ministerial positions, representing the people in Parliament, and serving as the Vice President prior to your current role as President of Botswana. Further, we are honored to learn from your personal achievements that stem from your rich experience as a teacher, curriculum specialist, and educational designer, since you have always been very successful in bridging the educational gap in Botswana through ICT. I also know that important Korean companies such as POSCO International are contributing to the development of Botswana, and Korea University also hopes to contribute as well through educating and training the future workforce, professionals in government, and more. Today, we gather in this esteemed hall at Korea University to celebrate and learn from an extraordinary individual whose diverse achievements have transcended borders and inspired many across the globe. Once again, welcome to Korea University, President Masisi, and we are truly honored to have you with us. Thank you and ke areboga.
Thank you, President Kim, for your inspiring words. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the highlight of today's event. We are incredibly fortunate to have with us His Excellency President Masisi, who will be delivering a special lecture on fostering collaboration in higher education with Korea. His Excellency has been a steadfast and visionary leader, steering Botswana towards progress and development. So please join me in extending a warm welcome as he takes the stage. If you will, President Masisi.
Thank you very much. Oh, the Korean way. The Director of Ceremonies, Professor Dong Won Kim, the President of Korea University, senior leadership of Korea University, the faculty and staff of the university, cabinet ministers and senior government officials of the Republic of Botswana and those of the Republic of Korea, students of Korea University, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, Annyeong Hanseo. It's my singular privilege and honor to address you today on this beautiful campus of one of the top, if not the top-rated university in Korea. I spent a few days in this magnificent city of Seoul, attending the first ever Korea-Africa Summit, a forum through which we hope to strengthen the ties between Korea and Africa, and as far as I am concerned, between Korea and the Republic of Botswana. The theme of this summit that we just attended is the future we make together, shared growth, sustainability, and solidarity. This theme resonates well with the theme of today's discussion, which is fostering collaboration with institutions of higher learning in Korea. Botswana welcomes this opportunity to forge closer cooperation and collaboration with Korea. The development path of Korea is nothing but admirable. In a few decades, you have transformed this country from being one of the poorest in the world to being a global pivotal state, a global benchmark for several distinctive achievements, such as in the areas of information and communications technologies. Korea's success was not an accident. Very early on, the Korean state and society identified and prioritized education and its continuous reform as a primary enabler of success derived from the application of knowledge and skills to make goods of various kinds. Through the development of the human resource and without the benefit of the endowment of natural resources, you have rapidly industrialized, raised the standards of living of the people, and have established some of the world's top and high-tech companies such as Samsung, LG Group, Hyundai, SK, and Hanwha, to mention but a few. You have no crude oil at all, but you, the Koreans, beneficiate crude, and I am significant exporter of petroleum products. This is ample evidence of the transformative power of human knowledge, creativity, and how-to skills or practical competence. We have taken notice of Korea as a world leader on many indices such as the Bloomberg's Innovation Index, the Global Innovation Index. As you are aware, both of these indices of innovative capabilities rank countries in terms of the robustness of their research and development, R&D ecosystems, or knowledge production and entrepreneurship output, underpinned by linkages between government, academic, communities, and industry, and also the quantum of capital outlay that is poured into this realm of human pursuit, i.e. research funding. They seek to focus attention on the multifaceted nature of innovation, which allows nations to take stock of where they stand so as to be able to make right choices and right decisions. More importantly, Koreans have successfully harnessed and matched the development of knowledge and skills to industry needs, relevance, such as developing sophisticated manufacturing processes to drive economic development and prosperity. Similarly, Mr. President, in recognition of the importance of education, we in Botswana have over several years allocated 20% or more of GDP to education, this being the highest allocation, followed by allocation to health. For all intents and purposes, the majority of our citizens receive public education throughout the education cycle, from pre-primary to tertiary education, with government carrying the greatest share of the financial burden. As the pace of globalization and technological advancement is a reality across the globe, we have set ourselves on a path, just like yourselves, of becoming a knowledge-based economy through a prioritization of our development goals. Whereas this aspiration and policy thrust occurred during the first decade of the 21st century and is captured in our National Vision 2036, it was brought into stark focus as a necessity because of the existential threat posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Without a rapid pace of innovation in medical research and allied healthcare professions, the world would not have contained the ravages of COVID-19 pandemic. As the pandemic challenged nations' capacities to come up with medical interventions in the form of vaccines and other therapeutics, to produce personal protective equipment, and also disrupted our food production system, our educational learning environment systems, the supply chain of goods and services, we had to rethink. We had to re-strategize, change direction, and therefore came up with our Reset and Reclaim agenda in May 2021, at the height of the pandemic. We realized that we could not go on as if life was normal, because life was not normal, if any. We had to prepare for the new normal and the ways of doing things. The agenda has 5 priorities, beginning with the then imperative need to save Botswana's population from COVID-19 and other pandemics, which we successfully accomplished as priority number 1. We also prioritized as second priority alignment of the public service to the presidential agenda, followed by digitalization, number 3, and number 4, value chains development, and the 5th priority, no more the least important, mindset change. Without a doubt, quality education, and in particular higher education and skills development, are critical in the realization of these priorities as part of the journey towards attaining a knowledge-based economy wherein we can use the transformative power of knowledge and innovation to add value to our economic activities and thus process goods and package services of high quality to trade in the global space and system. Ladies and gentlemen, it is self-evident that there is a strong and positive correlation between education and capabilities consequently developed and your success in the Republic of Korea. We in most of Africa, and Botswana in particular, my very beloved country, would like to share in your knowledge, your innovation, and entrepreneurial achievements so that we can leapfrog to the attainment of certain requisites of the fourth industrial revolution by both emulating you and adapting certain technologies as well as creating new ones relevant to our needs. In this endeavor, collaboration and exchange programs, Mr. President, between institutions of higher learning in our two countries would represent the most cost-effective and sustainable way to help us, you and us, develop. Us. We, in turn, can share with you what we know. I'm very open to strengthening exchange between institutions of higher learning and in Korea, with Korea University in particular, as we discussed, Mr. President. Giving an opportunity, and I must say, as you so graciously agreed and ceded to, Botswana students and researchers to study in the institutions such as this impeccable Korea University, 120 years old next year, would have an enduring and multiply effect on our country. And I might add, we too might add some value to your own systems and knowledge capital. This collaboration can take many forms to include student exchanges, faculty exchange, research collaboration. All these can be done physically or online or in hybrid form. Furthermore, we'd also give you the opportunity for learning, research and experience in Africa. And so Botswana and our universities could become your laboratory, Mr. President. And why would you benefit from us? We have a different environment and circumstances that would allow you to gain different valuable experiences. Mr. President, I wish to point out that in the minds of many non-Africans, there is a prevalent mindset that portrays a picture of Africa which is at variance with the real Africa that we ourselves live in, that we ourselves know, that we ourselves understand, and that we, all of us here, Africans, come from, and where you originate too. Oftentimes, the picture of Africa by outsiders, some outsiders, is anchored on the misguided and misinformed concept of primitiveness, which imagines us as being living in the wild and jumping from tree to tree. That there are people who nurse this idea is truly pathetic and deplorable. Clearly, this picture is, at best, born out of a genuine lack of understanding, a lack of knowledge and exposure to Africa, or sheer spite at worst. More significantly, the misconceptions of Africa by outsiders are due to the selective broadcast messages of some international media houses, which more often than not are slanted in favor of portraying Africa and its people in bad light over the continent's countless stories of our advancement. And this, sadly, is born out of prejudice and out of racism and discrimination. But not you. The Koreans don't do that. I'm talking about others. Hopefully, as we all get more exposure, the picture and the reality will become more focused. For example, Botswana has 6 universities, Mr. President, in our short life. Amongst these, the public ones I will list are the University of Botswana, from which I graduated, and a few of us in the room. We have the Botswana International University of Science and Technology, a very new university, and the Botswana University of Agriculture and Natural Resources, BUAN. And then there are several private universities and many more private institutions of higher learning. We are very proud of these universities and how they're developing and trying to position themselves globally in the various areas of strength encompassing research, innovation, satellite technology, biodiesel production, and the performance of specialist surgeries. We have at least two here who are associated with the Secretary Masire Teaching Hospital in the audience, Mr. President. Each of these universities has developed a robust curriculum as well as faculty with credible credentials. World-class credentials, I might add. I therefore invite you to partner with us, both at the level of staff as well as student exchange. Correctly so, we are never satisfied with our standards of education and strive always for improvement. We would greatly welcome collaboration and association or affiliation with Korea University. I am eager to have in place reciprocal arrangements with your esteemed university, Mr. President. As you are well aware, universities gain strength and credibility through internationalization and cross-pollination of ideas and practices, exchange of information, and the development of networks. Universities are also platforms for cultural and people-to-people exchanges, building bridges through mutual learning of cultures and languages. I understand there's one student from Botswana studying here. I'd be happy with at least 10. I would be happier with 20. And I'd be delighted with 50. So make your choice, Mr. President. You can make me happy, you can make me happier, or you can delight me. I'm your guest, and I'm president of a whole country. In turn, we'd also offer as many places for Korean students to come and study on our shores. I believe that one of the areas which we eagerly want to learn from Korea is in the field of ICT, particularly its use in providing practical solutions to real-world problems. Botswana has already begun collaboration, and we have already put in place some of the backbone infrastructure, such as the fiber optic network. We're working on our own version of the Korean model of government as a platform wherein government will bring e-services closer to the people. Distinguished faculties, dignitaries, and students. In conclusion, higher education institutions and research centers derive their legitimacy from solving real-life problems encountered by human beings as they navigate their habits and interact with other species that are not human, as well as come up against the powerful and ferocious impact and wrath of nature. And climate change has brought that into very sharp focus. And in all of this, our capacities for curiosity and the infiniteness of human ingenuity and competence as nurtured by all of educational institutions, in particular higher education ones, remain the keys to unlock pathways to shared growth, sustainable development, and prosperity for all. Thank you for your kind attention. Kamsia Nida. Hula.
Thank you very much, President Masisi, for your insightful thoughts and sharing with us your wisdom here today. I believe I can speak for all of us in saying that we have all gained valuable knowledge and perspectives from your brief lecture. I would now like to open up a Q&A session for the next 10 minutes. If you happen to have a question, please raise your hand and we will bring a microphone to you.
그 고등교육 관련된 이제 이야기를 이제 잘 들었습니다. 근데 한국과 보츠와나 같은 경우에는 제가 알기로는 어떤 주력 산업들이나 이런 것이 조금 많이 다른 것으로 알고 있는데 이런 상황에서는 고등교육을 서로 연계를 하고자 해도 그 효과가 그렇게 크지 않을 것 같은데 혹시 이거에 대한 보완하시려는 어떤 계획이 있으신지 그런 방안이 있으신지 궁금합니다.
좀 다시 한번 말씀 주세요. 천천히 말씀 주세요. 또박또박.
죄송합니다. 한국과 보츠와나처럼 이렇게 주력 산업이 서로 다른 국가들이 교육기관 간에
보츠와나-
연계를 했을 때 그 효과를 조금 더 증진시킬 수 있는 방안이 있으신지 궁금합니다.
What the plans are premised on first the diplomatic relations that we have with Korea, and therein lies the potential that we discussed with His Excellency the President this afternoon of developing a sharp, focused program of collaboration in which education will be topmost. And the institutions that we have in the country are ready, well poised and resourced, instructed and aligned to make advances or link with Korean institutions for the very content and the detail of that collaboration. We will pay our part for certain. So if it means bringing our students here to come and enroll in a university prestigious as this one, we will pay the fees. We don't decline scholarships if offered, but if none, if you come through, we will pay because it's in our interest. In the same vein, we will open up opportunity for Korean institutions in whatever field they want to get into or whatever area they want to get into to collaborate with our own institutions, whether it is students, staff, research programs, we will collaborate. And I've specified some of the areas that we are interested in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have another question over here.
Mr. President, I recognize that Botswana is one of the countries that has achieved the highest level of democracy in among African countries, and I want to know how Botswana could have achieved such a record.
I'm glad that's coming from a university student. You are a student here?
Yes, I'm a student.
Mr. President, that's a candidate for an exchange program.
Thank you, Mr. President.
But seriously, one of the reasons why our democracy attributes are as strong as they are is because we are fundamentally a peaceful people. This form of democracy that we practice in Botswana is grown out of our cultural governance practices, where we have what's called a Khotla system. It's spelled K-G-O-T-L-A, and it's pronounced with a guttural KG, Khotla. Khotla system. It is the headquarters of the leadership of an ethnic group or a community. And there are rules and standards and values deeply ingrained in our culture. And some of this is demonstrated through some of our idiomatic expressions, such as, I'll say it in Setswana. Setswana is our Korean. Literally translated meaning that everybody's voice counts. There is equality of voice. Yes? And in the event that a debate ensues in this sphere, in this assembly, in this parliament, the end resolution is determined by a vote. It could be a vote of counting the individual voters, or it could be a sensing of the preponderance of direction on an issue. And another issue that is important to demonstrate the values we hold sacrosanct to our version of democratic dispensation is access to that assembly. Access is open to every member of the community. Even when there is a judicial matter and a trial is being held, it's not just access of viewing, listening silently. You become an active participant. So when the prosecutor leads in the inquisition of a person charged, you as a member of the community are also allowed to question and cast your views. And so it's very deeply felt. So when the Westminster-style democracy was introduced, we readily adopted it and adapted it. So it is deeply felt, and Botswana have a deep sense of respect for accountability. And being accountable means you get to the village assembly and anybody can ask you a question. So even I, as president, elected as I am through constituency system, I often go around the country and I am subject to being asked questions to account for my actions or my decisions. So there's a lot of transparency, there's openness and freedom. But I repeat, you are a candidate.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President, and welcome to Korea. And thank you for your special lecture, especially in Korean University. My question is about the industry, the change in industry and change in education in Botswana. So I was just wondering, what is the vision and the plan for the change of industry in Botswana, and how the education policy is changing for that industry needs? Thank you.
Thank you. As I did say in the lecture that I just gave, you know, we have many parallels between ourselves and Korea. You, when we began, were largely an agrarian, poor society. We started the same way in 1966. We were one of the 25 poorest nations in the world. I mean, dirt poor. We were drought-stricken, and geography has not served us well because we are subject to periodic droughts that devastate our crops and livestock. And so we had a very thin human resource base. There were less than 10 graduates at independence, and there were only 2 secondary schools, measly, and so many people did not work. And so our education was predicated on a determination to develop a human resource base, very basic. So when we discovered diamonds, which is the first big jump of revenue, we plowed all of it back into building the infrastructure necessary, including the human capability infrastructure. And so we've been going up in waves as we get more revenue, and this human capability is being diversified in the skills that it acquires. We're at a stage now where we've decided that we want to develop a knowledge-based economy. And so the skill sets for that, and the skill sets are not just the technical skills, they are the attitudinal skills and competencies. So the values and the inclinations, the propensity to cause us to diversify our educational product and product space. And collaboration is one of those elements. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kim Yubin, majoring in political science and international relations. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the President of Botswana for this opportunity. I have noticed that universities in Botswana often include specific fields of study in their names, unlike universities in Korea. Could you please elaborate on the historical or cultural or educational reasons behind this naming convention in Botswana?
So could you say that again? I didn't understand. I didn't hear what you said about the convention.
I have noticed that universities in Botswana often include specific fields of study in their names, like university that with the name of political science or technologies like this. And I just wanted to ask you that why is there any context or background for this?
Well, there are two real reasons. One is hardly a reason, but it's a reason. Is that they chose those names. Right? But the real reason behind it is that we have relatively small universities, and being small, they want to be very clear, they communicate what their main focus is. So they chose those names. But, that's a good question. I should ask them also. Thanks.
We have a question from the gentleman right here.
May I? Yeah. Sorry for previous interruption, and thank you for taking my question finally. This could be a kind of the follow-up question or first question. You said, in which industry or research area you think two countries could learn from each other? What's the strengths of Botswana in terms of research or industry, and which industry of Korea attracted you into Korea? And how much substantial economic impact do you expect from cooperation of two countries in higher education? Thank you.
Well, I expect a lot. I expect substantial impact.
Could you specify one industry, please?
Yes.
For example.
In the area of ICT. You are a global leader in that space. We are a global, hungry candidate for that space. And so when those two meet, there'll be, opposites attract. So you have it, we want it. So we will succeed. Don't you think?
And what's the strengths of Botswana?
In the ICT space, Botswana has a number of strengths, you'll be surprised. The strength is not so much in what you are strong in. The strength is in the gap. We are hungriest for it. That's a strength. That's a very big strength. And when you're hungry for something, you will fetch it. You will do well at it. You will succeed. You will buy it. Right?
Absolutely.
What is the other strength? The strength that, causes for reciprocal benefit is that Korea, being a global leader in that space, is given a unique opportunity of filling the space, the gap in the knowledge and capability in a place that most fits. It tessellates. Why does it tessellate? We're a well-governed country. Things work in my country. We mean what we say. So when we agree with you, you will do X, Y, Z, it will be done. That makes for a match. It's like when you propose to your girlfriend and she says, yes. Yes? And you buy a Botswana diamond. You are certain that marriage is going to work. Unlike if you bought a fake diamond, it'll be a fake marriage.
We are running out of time for the Q&A, so we have just the opportunity for maybe one or two more questions, if there are any takers. Back here.
Thank you for giving me maybe last question, or thank you. And I graduate first, Amokela, Kwa Korea University. Thank you for coming to Korea University, it means. And I graduated Korea University, and I'm working as a staff in a Center for Learning and Teaching as a staff. And I'm a 45 years old, and this is my first time to give a question to a president in a nation. So it's my wonderful time in my life. And I also want to give a kind of personal question that I noticed that you majored in education, and I also graduate education. And what was the biggest motivation to become a president? This is my question.
That is by far the toughest question I've had. To be very honest with you, when I started let me put it this way. I got into politics almost by accident. Right? You know how when you carry out research and you stumble upon a solution? You stumble upon a solution? I was in life. And a problem occurred. And I stumbled upon being part of the solution to that problem. And I got elected. Right? I lost my first primary election. And then I thought I'd try one more time. But the purpose was to become a member of parliament to solve a particular problem or set of problems. Very party-oriented in my party, because I thought the candidate who was there or the incumbent member of parliament was doing a very bad job of representing my party and the track record there. They could do better. So I thought, I tried to recruit others to do it, because I was kind of shy to do it. And nobody would take it up. So I thought, I'll do it. So I tried it and I was beaten flat the first time. But I was not convinced about losing. I thought it's the voters who lost, not me. So I went for it a second time. And politics is a very interesting game. Despite I being convinced that I really would have won by a very healthy margin, I won by 4 votes, the primary election. And so I got elected to parliament in 2009, the first time. And I was happy to be a member of parliament, but I got a call. I was among the last to be called, only because, or to receive the call, because I had my phone switched off after we were sworn in. And when I turned it on, I found like 7 missed calls from one particular number. It was unique. I hadn't recorded. It was the president's senior private secretary. So I was among the last to come in, and the first thing he said to me is, "You nearly lost your position." "What position?" So I got appointed assistant minister in the office of the president. Right? And so I thought, I'll be a junior minister. It's okay, 5 years. And I had intended to serve for 10 years at most. And then 1 year later, I was a full minister in the office of the president. Right? And then we went to a period 6 months before my first elections second elections after the first one. And there was a little problem. I won't go into the details, but I convinced the president then to find a way out of it by moving me, because I had always wanted to be a minister of education. And it was the most humble way of asking a president, "Can you make me this minister for this?" And so I thought, I offered myself as a guinea pig. Let me go and be an acting minister of education, because the others had to act active. So I moved. He conceded. I moved from being a minister in the office of the president, which, for those who know the system at home, when you're a minister in the office of the president, it draws a lot of attention to you, because you work for the president. You do parliamentary stuff. You do public service. You do a whole lot of things around the presidency. And so the pressures on me from my colleagues, wow, it was like a big breather. So I went to education, and nobody bothered me for 6 months before the elections. And we went to the general elections, and I was the most targeted by the opposition and the labor unions, the public unions, because after becoming minister for the presidency, which is also minister for the public service, a strike ensued, the biggest, longest, most potent public sector strike after the public service was unionized in my country. And I was the face of the defense of the government. And so they resolved to target me in the next elections. So I was the most targeted. And so I lost my record of having the biggest margin in the south of the country between myself and my opponent to having it's a significant margin, but a reduced one. So I won the elections, and after the elections, the president appointed me a full Minister of Education and Skills Development, not acting. But, you know, less than 2 weeks, 10 days, 8 days, can't remember now, word came to me, the president and I began talking. And the talk was really about he being interested in me becoming his vice president. Traditionally, there has never been a vice president who was a minister of education. And so my colleagues didn't know, nobody knew, it was the president and I who knew. And then we held a caucus, the cabinet was called, and the party caucus was informed. The president in our constitution nominates a vice president and parliament endorses. So he announced it, and there was shock in some faces, but then there was an applause, but I wasn't in the room. We had worked it out so that I wasn't there, and then I got called in, and I became a vice president. In our system, president serves for a maximum of 2 5-year terms, and we have automatic succession. And after the 2014 elections, the president was on his last lap. And so if I hung around or succeeded in hanging on to the job, there was a possibility that I could succeed the president. And by God's grace, I was able to hang on to the job. There were attempts to remove me. I mean, I have faced a few inquisitions. I had also offered my resignation for a number of reasons, 4 times. But everything said, I found myself still the vice president at the time when the president's term came to a constitutional end. And what happens in our system is, at the stroke of midnight on the 31st of March of the year, 10th year, the powers bestowed on the president in his sleep, if he's asleep, or she, dissolve away from that person, and they are infused into the vice president. So a few seconds after 12 midnight, I felt my body twitch on the 1st of April. And then I knew I was president. Almost an accident. That's how.